Nightworld is a film that was recently added to Netflix starring Jason London and Robert Englund. Now, Robert Englund, when he's usually in the lower budget stuff like this these days, he's only in them for a couple minutes, but this one he's in it a little longer than usual, maybe 15 minutes. So if you're looking for some Englund and you're wondering if he's actually in this movie, unlike some of the other films that he's been in, he actually is in this a decent amount to put him on a cover at least. Jason London is the main character here. And this film is about a retired LA cop who, after the death of his wife, takes a job in Bulgaria as a security guard for this old building where the job that's offered to him seems very easy but very bizarre. He is to watch cameras and see if there's any activity on them, and the cameras are only pointing inside this dark room, and he has to work in the basement of this building. But he takes the job to keep these things off of his mind, and he just thinks that it's going to be an easy buck. But obviously things start to go awry. Now, this film had some intrigue and some mystery and some good build-up. It also had a beautiful girl in it that looked a lot like Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman. So that wasn't hurting the movie at all. But I think that any mystery or intrigue that was set up throughout the film, because I was actually enjoying the first hour of this movie, the first and second act. It was getting a little slow in the second act, and I was like, all right, come on, let's get to it. I want to know what this is and what's going on and so forth. And man, they botched this ending bad. This is one of those films, I feel like I could sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and just write out so many things that I have wrong with the ending and that I feel like would be just glaring plot holes. Now, arguments could be made and theories could be summarized. All these different kinds of things could happen for you to try to explain away the discrepancies I would have with this film. And that's true of most things. But just on a first viewing, there were so many things that were jumping out at me. Like, oh fuck, why no one would ever do that? Or what? How does that work if this is this and this is here? There's so many what the fuck moments in that last act that you're just like, come on, why and where and how? And it was pissing me off because I was actually excited for this third act. As I said, I was intrigued. I was ready for this movie to actually have a decent payoff because it had a fairly poor rating on a couple different sites that I was looking at. And, almost an hour in, I was thinking oh, typical, people hate and shit on everything. But this ending, I totally feel like the ratings that it's getting are warranted. It's a fairly well-made film, especially as I said in the first two acts. It's well shot and the acting is pretty good. But God, this third act murdered the movie for me. The last 10 minutes were just dreadful. There was so many questions that it posed that it never answered. And not in a take it home with you to chew on kind of thing, because that's what it was going for, and that's the way it ended. Was it was supposed to be this emotional punch and this thing to unpack and be like, wow, okay, so that happened, but I guess you could look, and it just didn't work. It was too convoluted and silly, just downright silly. There was a couple moments where I was just like, oh, fuck me. I rolled my eyes so hard I could see my brain. So anyway, guys, I would not recommend this movie because this last act will fucking piss you off. But anyway, if you guys saw it already and you thought it was great and the third act fully worked for you, that's awesome. and I would love to hear, you know, what you thought about that, and tell me how I'm wrong. You know, explain to me this ending, because wow, it was pretty stupid. All right, time for bed.